through and hear all the history stuff today. You guys obviously get to take an hour to have a, an opportunity. Miss Bright is actually a friend of ours. This is Sean. He's actually
How y'all doing?
doing the camera. But we've actually been here all day. We've actually talked to the first three classes today. And we just want you to know that we find it a privilege and an honor to be here with you guys today, because whether you know it or not, you guys are actually a very special group of people with a lot of potential. And I know you snuckle and you laugh about it because maybe you've never heard that before, but I'm here to tell you that you really are. And I just, I'm going to be sharing some things with you guys today, and I want you guys to pay attention. Why? Because some of the things that I'm going to share with you today are things that are going to be able to relate to you as a teenager, relate to some of the things that you guys are going through, and really be able to hopefully challenge you guys, because some of the things that I'm going to share with you today hopefully will save your life. It just may. Because some of the things that I'm going to share with you today are real things that are going on which you already know about, all around you, in this school, in other schools down the street, in your neighborhood. And, Sean and I actually had taken the whole day off of work today to come be with you, because we believe in what we're going to discuss with you today. We believe in what we're called to do, and we believe in you. And our vision and our passion and our focus is to raise up a generation of champions. And by the end of this class, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but we're actually going to challenge you. We're going to put a challenge on the table. Maybe you've never had somebody challenge you, but we're going to put a challenge on the table. Why? Because you guys are tomorrow's generation. Your generation is really the generation that can either keep things going the way that they are or change things. How many people want to see things change in this city for the good, right? How many people want to see things change in this school, right? So some of this stuff's not always going on out in the hallway. How many of you want to see things change in your neighborhood, in your home, with your family, right? 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 So I'm going to talk to you guys about some things today. And, I stand before you today. I'm 30 years old. A lot of times people still think I look 19, 20. It's a good thing, right? Right? I'm 30, so, I still look young, which is good. But I was 15. I was 14. I was 13. I know some of the classes, there were 13, 14, 15, 16. I've been there. And I know a lot of you guys have heard before, whether it's from mom or dad or auntie or uncle or grandma or grandpa. A lot of you guys have heard them try to tell you things. And a lot of times when you're young, you feel like they can't relate to you. How many of you feel like your parents or the older people around you can't relate to you? They think they're talking to you and telling you things, but it just doesn't make sense a lot of times. They're trying to tell you this, that, or the other. And you know why they're telling you that? And you know I'm going to share some of the things that I'm going to share with you today is because I've been there. I've been there. And a lot of times when people go ahead of you and they've experienced some of those things, they can share their experiences with you. Why? Because as teenagers, okay, as people right now in this class, as ninth graders, you guys are being faced with the same temptations, the same struggles, and the same decisions as the same age group all across the country. It don't matter if you're black, it don't matter if you're white, it don't matter if you're Asian, it don't matter if you're Mexican. Why? Because in a sense, we're all human beings. We may look a little different on the outside, but that doesn't make us any different. So I'm gonna be real with you today. I'm gonna discuss some things that even 15 years ago, when I was sitting in your seat as a ninth grader, that I struggled with, that I went through. Decisions that I made that almost took my life, that caused me to go to jail, that caused me to make bad decisions, okay? We're going to talk about some statistics, real statistics that are real right now. Most of you guys in this room, based on statistics, won't be here in a couple of years. Some of you guys will actually end up dead. Some of you guys will end up in prison. A majority of you, based on statistics, say you won't even graduate high school. That you won't even graduate. That most of you are just here just because, but when you get a little bit older and you got the decision, or you really don't respect mom and dad's authority anymore, or you just really don't care, peace out, you're gone. It's real. And it doesn't just happen in Detroit, it happens all over the country. See, this generation, your generation, is vital to tomorrow's change. Statistics say it's only getting worse. Statistics say, what's the hope? What's the hope for Detroit? Detroit across the board is the worst in so many categories. Worst schools, worst poverty, murder rate, all across the board. How many of you in this room right now would say that you know somebody that's been murdered? The whole class. How many of you know somebody that's locked up right now? How many of you guys want to be that one that's murdered or locked up someday? Not one, right? How many of those people that you know that were murdered or are locked up right now, when they were in your seat, thought that that would be their destiny or their future? Think about it. Nobody says, I want to get murdered. That's my purpose in life, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get murdered. Nobody starts out saying, I want to go to jail. Nobody starts out saying, I want to be a dope fiend. I want to be homeless. Nobody says that, right? How many of you guys in this classroom right now actually have some type of dream or goal for your life that you want to accomplish in life, right? Every single one of you. Every single one of you. There's nothing or no one that can stop you from bringing that dream or that goal to pass and accomplishing those things in your life besides one thing. And that one thing is you. It's your choice to become what you want to become. It's your choice to do what you want to do. And nothing or no one can stop you. Not the statistics that are laid out for you. Not what your mommy or your daddy said you can be or you can't be. Not based on what's going on in your household or your neighborhood. Those are limitations, right? But my challenge for you today is to take the limitations off. Break out of the box that has been created for youth of this generation all across the board. A generation that is literally going like this, down, right? And you guys are the next generation. You're tomorrow's leaders. We need you. I need you. Sean needs you. Mrs. Bright needs you. Why? Because you're tomorrow's generation leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, ministers, politicians, sports players. You're the generation for tomorrow. But let me tell you, statistics say based on decisions that you will make, a lot of you guys will not be successful. A lot of you will end up in prison, dropped out of school. And you don't even realize that what you do today impacts your tomorrow. So my prayer and my goal for being here today, because I gain nothing. I don't get paid to come talk to you guys. We actually took a whole day off of work because we care about you. I can literally stand in front of you today and say, I believe in you. And I believe that you guys can do whatever you want to do. And a lot of you guys may have never heard that before. A lot of you guys have maybe never heard that you can be all that you want to be. But our vision for what we're doing is to raise up a generation of champions all across this country. All across this country. Why? Because as a whole, our country is going down the tubes. And it's scary. It's scary. Why? Because people have lost the character, the integrity. People just don't care. Why? Because we live in a selfish generation. People don't care about people anymore. That's why people kill people. That's why people take advantage of people. That's why people hurt people. Because they don't care about people. They just care about themselves. See, yeah, I might be white, and you might be black, but really if you just take that one difference away, we're no different. How many eyes do I have? How many do you have? How many hands do you have? How many do I have? How many feet do you have? So how many feet do I have? So outside of our skin color, we're pretty much the same, right? Right? But see, even that, you guys, skin color across the board, there's so much racism on both sides and all sides. Mexican, it's crazy. And what that is it's a division and a separation of people so that we can all be off doing our own thing and be against each other. Because guess what? A nation or a city or a school or a family divided by itself won't stand. How can we accomplish great things unless we do them together, right? And here's my story. My parents divorced when I was 2. How many of you in this room right now don't have mom and dad both in the same house with you? pretty much the whole class, right? How many of you guys don't have dad? Dad is not there. He's maybe never been there. Maybe you've never met your dad, or your dad is just a bum and he don't even care about you. Raise your hand. Be honest. Right? Because I was there. Sean was there. And you know what? That's not your fault. That's not your fault. And even the statistics are even greater. That when mom and dad aren't there, when they're not there, it actually sets you up even for more failure. And the reason is because we need both sides. We need mom and dad. Because mom is supposed to nurture and give that child what they need. And dad is supposed to be the one that teaches you how to be a man, teaches you how to be a woman, and gives you that love and affection that you need so you don't go look for it down the street. And I'm just going to be real with you today. Why? Because if I can't be, then there's no point in me being here. So I'm going to talk about some real things, and I'm going to talk about some serious things, and I'm going to talk about some things that I've been through. See, my parents divorced when I was 2, okay? My mom's been married 4 different times, okay? I come from a background where basically from the get-go, things were already set up for me to be a statistic, okay? So I went through life, got into high school. Like I said, I was in 9th grade. I'm sure a lot of y'all had some fear coming into high school. From middle school, it's a whole new step. You're with all the older kids. You don't know what to expect, and now you're here, right? Now you're here. Well, I started out pretty good in high school. Started doing good in school. I was an honor roll student. But I started getting a little bit older and getting distracted. I just wanted to chase females. I just wanted to be cool. I just wanted to fit in. See, these years of your life right now, whether you know it or not, you guys are trying to find out who you are. You're trying to create an identity for yourself. Who am I? Who do I hang out with? Am I cool? Am I popular? Am I not? Do I hang with this group? Do I hang with that group? And really, that is normal by being a teenager. But I want to tell you this, that your identity is not based on where you came from, what your circumstances are, who you hang out with, whether you're cool or whether you're not. Because when you're an adult, none of that matters. It doesn't even matter. And a lot of times that will cause you to be distracted and not be able to focus on why you're here. You're in school to get an education. You're in school to learn so that you can go into the world, which you're going to go. Regardless, whether you drop out, whether you make it, you're going. The only thing that stops life progression is what? Death. And statistics say some of you guys are going to be dead by the time you even get out of high school. The rates are pretty high, and it's really sad. So when I got into high school, I was more focused on trying to chase females and do all this other stuff. And I ended up getting at the time, my girlfriend pregnant. I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade. As an honor roll student, I'm talking A's and B's, played on the football team. And as soon as I dropped out of high school, I began to sell drugs, do drugs, get in trouble. I've been in and out of jail. I've gotten 8 misdemeanors and a felony. I'm a felon. I've been in Oakland County, Macomb County, Kent County, and Wayne County jail. I sold ecstasy to an undercover cop. But see, when I was in 9th grade and I was in your position, none of those, you couldn't tell me. Like if I told you, bro, in 3 years, you're going to be in jail because you're out there selling dope, you're going to get a girl knocked up, you may get an STD, and you may even kill somebody. Would you believe me? No. But see, if you would have told me the same thing when I was in your seat, I wouldn't have believed it either. But see, it all boils down to the decisions that you make. What you do today affects your tomorrow. And I can tell you right now, you may think what I'm doing today isn't really going to be a big deal. You know, smoking weed, drinking, hanging out, having sex. Those are all things that I guarantee most of you are being faced with right now or have already been faced with. Because it's the exact same things that me and him were faced with 15 years ago. And your parents, however many years ago. There's nothing new under the sun. We deal with the same stuff. But here's the reality that I want you to think about. Okay? And this have you guys ever heard of the word called wisdom? Right? How many people have ever heard the word wisdom? You need to have some wisdom, boy. You need to use wisdom. Does anybody know what the definition of wisdom actually is? Does anybody know? Knowledge is good, yep. Wisdom is this. Doing what you know you're supposed to do. It's doing what's right and not based on what you feel or doing the opposite of what you know you're supposed to do. See, if you're faced with a decision and you have to contemplate whether you should do it or not, chances are you probably shouldn't do it. And I'll tell you this right now, it don't matter what so-and-so's doing. It don't matter what your other friends are doing. If your friends are doing something that is wrong, and just because they're your friends and they're doing it wrong, I promise you should find some new friends. If you're being tempted to smoke a little bit of weed just like I was, see, nobody thinks that that's a gateway drug. Nobody thinks that, oh man, I'm just smoking a little bit of weed. It doesn't really hurt or harm me. How many people know that the crack kid on the block, which we all know, we've all seen people that are just wigged out of their mind, it didn't start that way. Those people didn't just become, crackheads or all doped up the first time. People don't just end up homeless on the streets. People don't end up what you see being 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. It becomes that. Why? Because it's a process. See, you may be smoking weed right now, and you may think it's no big deal, I'm cool, I'm just fitting in. Can I tell you it's a lie and a deception? Can I tell you that what you're doing, and it don't matter. And what I'm saying to you is not a conviction. I'm not condemning anybody. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm here to warn you that I promise you that it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't care who's doing it around you. I don't care if your mom smokes, your dad smokes. People all around you smoke. That doesn't mean that you have to. That means you're just following the path of being a statistic. Why? Because everybody else does it. See, to be a leader and to you guys all raised your hand about dreams. Well, guess what? To accomplish those things mean you got to put in some work. You got to do things differently, okay? There's a lot more people who are not successful, who are struggling and going through things than there are that are actually successful in doing things right. Why? Because people would rather take the easy way out. They would rather follow the crowd. And my challenge to you is today, be the leader of the crowd. See, it's not looked at as being cool as being a leader. There was one kid that was in here earlier, he gets straight A's. And those are the kids that even in high school we looked at that were dorks or geeks or whatever you guys call them. They're not cool. But you know what the difference is about that kid? He's going to be a doctor someday. While some of y'all are working at McDonald's. But here's the reality. It doesn't have to be that way. Because if you think about it now, and you plan now for tomorrow, guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. Because every single person in this class, if you gave it your all, and you were really, really serious, not that you're not, you guys could do whatever you want. You guys could get all A's. Maybe you've never been challenged to try to get an A. Maybe you've never had an A. But guess what? You can. If you get a D or an F, whose decision was it to get it? Is it Miss Bright's fault that you got an F?
No.
Or a D?
No.
Is it your parents' fault that you got a D or an F?
No.
Whose fault is it? Right. So that means you control your destiny. You can control how things change in your life. See, when I was in high school, it was easy for me to do good because it just happened that way. But see, I didn't give 100%. If I did, I would have got all A's. If I could go back to high school and do it again, hear me, because one day you guys you'll be out of high school. You can never go back. I wish I would have did things differently. I had dreams. I had goals. I wanted to play football for the University of Michigan. I wanted to go to the University of Michigan. And if I gave it my all, I would have. But I was too busy about chasing girls, and I got this girl pregnant. When I was 17 years old, I had a baby on the way. By the time I was 18, had already been locked up. I was in jail when my class was graduating. And then I could never go back. How old are you?
I'm 15.
When do you turn 16?
April.
When you turn 16, can you be 15 again?
No.
When you guys leave the 9th grade and hopefully go on to the 10th grade, you can't go backwards, is what I'm saying. You can't get age 15 back. So what you do at age 15 should matter. What you do today should matter about your tomorrow. And I can assure you, some of you guys may think, nah, smoking weed ain't, nah, that's where I'm staying. Well, guess what? That's what I thought until I was sniffing cocaine, popping ecstasy pills, wilding out. Wilding out. And you know what's crazy? It has nothing to do about color, because when I used to party with black people doing the same stuff as me, White people, Mexican people, there's black heroin addicts, there's white heroin addicts. It's all across the board, so it's not based on color. It's just decisions. We all deal with the same things. I never thought that I would be doing those things. I overdosed and almost died. I got a scar on my eye from being beat down by the police for acting the fool. I got into a drunk driving accident and almost lost my life. Why? Because of decisions. Decisions. And those things that we deal with are not based on where we live, what city we're in, what our skin color is. It goes on all across this world. And when you're young is when the most important years of your life are taking place. And I'm telling you, the things that you do are important. What you do or what you don't do matters because there's consequences for both. There's either going to be good consequences or there's going to be bad consequences. Now, I'm not here to call any of you out because if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't be here. I really have a passion and a desire to see you and your generation take the lead and change things around. But let me challenge you and say this. You guys are 7th hour. Your average class grade is 49%. Right? You guys can take that 49% and turn that into an 89%. I didn't want to do homework. I didn't want to study for my tests. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to get in school, hang out, and go home. I was more worried about going home than I was doing classwork. And if I could go back, I would do it all over again. And Ms. Bright's going to hand these things out. You guys don't have to write or do anything, but I'll get to that in a minute. But what you do today matters. What you do today matters. And I challenge you guys that if you really care about your future, if you really care about becoming something or doing something in life, it starts right now. It starts right now in what you do. See, I'm lucky to be alive. I should have been dead. I shouldn't have made it out. I made a lot of bad decisions and it almost cost me my life. And you're sitting here today because you care. There's a lot of kids that aren't even here. At least you're here. Some of your friends and some people that you know in this 9th grade have already dropped out and they don't care. Some of them are already gone. But you guys can change things around, and that's my challenge to you, is not to be a statistic. You guys said that you have dreams for your future, and the only one that can bring those things to pass is you. You guys obviously have all heard of LeBron James, right? Okay. Some people argue whether he's the best basketball player or not, but he's pretty darn good if he's not the best, right? You look at LeBron James. What separates LeBron James from the majority of everybody else in the NBA? What separates him, man?
Me.
Oh, this guy right here.
Me.
Yeah.
He got drafted straight from high school.
Right, but what separates his... What makes him an MVP in basketball versus maybe another guy who has never won MVP and never will? What does LeBron James do differently?
Does he practice and all that?
No, you're right on point.
And he built for it, though.
Right. He's built for it, but think about this. How many people are built for something but throw their potential away because they're not willing to put in the work? Because guess what, bro? You're built for something.
I know that.
And I don't know what it is and you do. What? You could be the next heavyweight champ. Right?
That ain't my goal.
It may not be, but whatever your goal is, you could be that, right? But who throws the potential out the door?
Me.
Right. So the reason I say LeBron James is this. LeBron James, while he's not playing, he's practicing. LeBron James, during the summer, even after winning the championship, when everybody else is out chilling, hanging out, LeBron James is practicing. Why? Because he wants to be the best. And in order to be the best, you got to put in work. In order to accomplish those dreams that you guys raised your hand for, that I'm going to have you guys write down in a minute, it's going to take work. See, the system is set up, unfortunately, for youth today to fail. It really is. And the statistics are really sad. That the majority, half of you will be dropped out in the next 2 years. Because when you drop out, what are you going to do? You can't really get a good job. You can't really, go to college when you can't graduate high school. So what's really out there for somebody that drops out? See, these are things that I want you to think about. Why? Because there's going to be a decision where you may just want to give up and walk out that door and never come back. But I want you to think of this. What is the decision that I'm getting ready to make? What's the result? When you're getting ready to be faced with the temptation to get high or to drink or to have sex for the first time, I lost my virginity when I was 14 years old. And I'm not proud of that. Statistics in Detroit, I was just looking at them last night. There's people losing their virginity and getting pregnant at 11 and 12. And you know what's sad? How can an 11 or 12 or 13 or 14-year-old raise a child when they still are a child? But it's reality, right? Does anybody have a kid in here? You know what? That's good. But here's the reality. If that same question was asked to you in 2 or 3 years, a lot more hands may go up. And again, some of you guys raised your hands that dad's not in your life right now. Now, I don't know if you can actually internalize the result and the effect on your life from that, but it's major. It's major. And what do you have right now going on in the youth generation? People getting pregnant, and what is their excuse? Just abort, just kill that baby, and keep doing what you're doing. That's sick, because that's being irresponsible. Some of y'all are going to be faced real soon, if you haven't already been, to jump up in that sack. And here's the reality. What if that girl has AIDS? Or some type of STD? In your very first time, or second time, or third, it doesn't matter, you get struck with this STD, HIV, in your whole life. For what? A little bit of pleasure. A little bit of pleasure. And it's scary, but see, like I said, if I can't be real with you guys, what's the point of being here? Because even though you guys know of these things, they're not talked about often. But it needs to be talked about. Why? Because the facts need to be laid on the table and decisions need to be made. Is it worth it? Is it worth me putting it all on the line for that female or that male? Is it worth your dream not coming true because you just want to get a little bit of attention from so-and-so and do your thing? Or maybe you want to make money and you realize that nobody in your family or in your neighborhood has ever done it the right way, so you want to go out and do it the wrong way. And now all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where you're getting ready to get smoked or go to prison. Was it worth it over money? See, your life is valuable. Every one of your lives is valuable. And when a life is taken, guess what? There's potential that is available to this world that is removed. That is removed. Mrs. Bright was just telling me a couple weeks ago about somebody that just got killed in your school. Somebody that went here. How do you know that's not going to be you next? How do I know that Mrs. Bright's not going to call up and say, so-and-so from 7th period just got killed? So-and-so from 7th period just got pregnant. She dropped out of school. So-and-so from 7th period just got locked up for life. See, you don't want to go to jail. How many of you guys have actually been to jail? Really? Okay. Was it worth it? Do you want to go back? Are you sure? It's not fun? But you know what the reality is? When you're in jail, you're stuck. They tell you when to eat. They tell you when to watch TV. They lock you down whenever they want to. Your rights are stripped. But yet, they can't even keep, they got to keep building these prisons. Why? Because they're overflowing with people that made bad decisions. Bad decisions. I promise you, I do not want to see any of you guys become a statistic. I have a 12-year-old daughter. She's going to be 13 in a year. Scary. It's real scary to think that I'm about to have a teenage daughter. Because why? Because it seemed like yesterday that I was a teenager. But I've had the ability to teach her some of the things that I'm teaching you. See, I'm open with my mistakes. Why? Because if I can teach my daughter or teach you or teach somebody else the things that I've done, maybe it will cause somebody else to change and not make the decisions. Why? Because I can tell you the result of the bad decision is not worth it. So I'm teaching her, she's in 7th grade, that what you do today matters tomorrow. She's getting ready to get her first report card with all A's. But see, if I wasn't on her, she would just get by. She wouldn't really try to work hard. She wouldn't really try to study. Why? Because it's in our nature just to get by. Most people, unless they have somebody behind them or are being challenged, just go with the flow. And you don't have to go with the flow. I'm telling you, you can actually do things differently and make a change and really make a difference. And that's what today's all about. If I just reach one person, if one of y'all just hears something that I'm saying and it challenges you, or I can relate to you, or when you actually go out and something comes your way, I want you to remember some of the things that I said. Why? Because I don't want to see anything happen to you. I don't want to see you make that bad decision and it changes your life. Why? Because one decision could change your whole life. I want to challenge you real quick. Mrs. Bright gave you a dream card, okay? You guys told me that you have a dream, and I want you to dream big. Why? Because the sky's the limit. Anything's possible. If you really commit yourself and you work hard, you can do whatever. And I mean that. Or you can just go with what you know, with what everybody else is doing, and just get by. But I promise you, when you're my age, you'll regret it. You'll look back. You'll look back and you'll say, why didn't I do something different? Why didn't I give it my all? Why did I quit the basketball team? Why did I drop out of school? Why didn't I study? Because guess what, guys? You see it all around you. You see it in your neighborhoods. You see it in your family. You've seen it, right? But guess what? You guys are the ones to change it. Take this dream card, and I want you guys to write your name down. I want you to write your dream down. Whatever you want to be, and you know what? Don't do it if you're not serious. Don't put nothing dumb down on there, because we won't even do nothing with it. But I'm talking about the serious people that if you really have a dream and you really have a goal, pull out your pencil or your pen and write down your name and your dream. And on the back, what I want you to do is I want you to write down one thing that you would change or you would like to see change in your neighborhood, in your home, in your school, in the city. What's one thing that you want to see change that you think would actually make things better in your life? Just take a couple minutes and do that.
Really, Jada? Don't play baseball. Do you have a pencil? Thank you.
And if you guys are writing those dreams down, I really want you to think about it. And I want you to think about what is it going to take for you to bring that thing to pass. Whether you play on the high school basketball team, or you want to play football, or whatever you want to do. Okay. Okay. And then Mrs. Bright's also going to pass out a certificate to you. Don't do anything with it. Don't sign it. But I'm going to challenge you guys today. I'm actually going to put a challenge on the table. But I just want to read some statistics to you, okay? These are real statistics.
I spelled therapist.
T-H-E-R-A-P-I-S-T.
Okay, I got that right.
I didn't say I was the brightest of the group. But I've been through some things, and I've come out alive. African American, do you know the system is purposely set up to hold you down? The system, the rappers, these dudes sell out for a purpose and a reason to hold you down. Ministers of music, and what's their message? Death, jail, drugs, crime. And this is real stuff. Why? Because the music influenced me and it caused me to go out and sell drugs and do drugs. It caused me to go out and try to be like a rapper and live a lifestyle and have a bunch of females and have a money, pocket full of money. Until all of it started coming crashing down and I started going to jail. I started doing drugs, selling drugs. And I would give up doing the right thing for the wrong thing, and it nearly took my life. Sean and I actually have people that we went to school with who are dead right now. Because again, it don't matter. Skin color don't matter. It don't matter if you're from the suburbs or you're from the city. People in the city are doing drugs and dying. People in the suburbs are doing drugs and dying. People are selling drugs in the suburbs and going to jail. People are selling drugs in the city and going to jail. See, a lot of this you guys might say, that's not me. But here's some things that you're going to be faced with if you haven't already been, and I'm sure some of you have. Smoking weed, drinking, having sex, making all these decisions. But let me tell you something. I lost my virginity when I was 14 years old. And I'm not proud of that. Because I thought it was cool to jump up in the sack with a female and chase them all around and get as many as I could. That's how y'all males, I'm telling you. It was no different 15 years ago. You chasing honeys. I know, because I did it. But here's the reality. You chase that one fine one, right? And she looks good. What do you call her, a dime piece? She looks good, right? And you jump in bed with her. Little did you know she was infested with HIV, and now your life is over. It sure looked good on the outside, didn't it? You wanted to take a bite. But you actually got bit. Honey, I'm for real, because guess what? That same dude that you want to lay down with, you think he's the man, and he lays some disease up in you, game over. Game over. Or he impregnates you, and now you got a baby, and he don't want nothing to do with you, and now you're stuck raising a child on your own, and you're barely an adult, and you're still kind of a child, and now this child comes into the world, and now that child suffers because what? We wanted to have some fun. We wanted to have a little bit. But am I being real? How many of you guys see it? All over. It's no different. These are real things going on every day. Every day. It's real. But let me tell you something. It may just be a little bit of weed today, and you may say, no, I'll never sniff no coke. I ain't gonna smoke no rocks. I ain't gonna be no crackhead. Well, guess what? Do you think the crackhead thought he would be a crackhead when he first started smoking weed?
No.
Do you think the dude that's homeless on the street thought that he would be there someday?
No.
How many people plan that out? Come on. That's like saying, yeah, my dream is to be a crackhead. Well, not you, but I'm saying, guess what? What did it all start with, guys? A decision. A decision. And what you do today, I promise you will lead them tomorrow, because when I started smoking weed and people told me it was a gateway drug to open up to other things, I said, not me. I'll never do no coke. I'll never do no this, until I found myself sniffing coke and popping ecstasy pills, wilding out and acting the fool. And you can say, not me. Well, guess what? It happens to black, white. It's all across the board. And so many people are overdosing and dying. So many people get to a place of despair and commit suicide. So many people put themselves in a situation to trade it all for what? To make money, to get high, to have some sex. And think about all the people you guys know around you that are older, brothers and sisters, people in your neighborhood. Look at their lives. It's real. It's real. Do you want it? Do you want it? I don't know if I asked you this, maybe I did, but how many of you guys know somebody that's in jail right now? How many of you guys know somebody that's been murdered? How do you guys know that next person isn't you? How do you know that you're not the next one to be imprisoned or murdered? Oh, not me. Not me. Why not you? What makes you different than the person that was smoked last week or yesterday or even being smoked right now? What makes you different? What are you doing different? Because the statistics that I'm about to read to you specifically say that the majority of you will end up falling in that category. 54% of African Americans graduate from high school, only 54. Nationally, African American male students in grades K through 12 were nearly 2.5 times as likely to be suspended. In 2007, nearly 6.2 million African American young people were high school dropouts. The majority of the 2.3 million people locked up right now in the U.S. and in jails are African American. The graduation rate for African American male students for the nation as a whole was 47%. That means if I asked all you young men to stand up, and half of you go on to this side of the class, and half of you to go on to that side of the class, more than half of you are going to fail and graduate.
I'm gonna make it.
I pray you do, bro. I'm being real, or else I wouldn't be here. Some of you guys said, Daddy's not in the home. Listen to this. 63% of the people that are youth that commit suicide didn't have a dad at home. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all the children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists with anger issues come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. Fatherless children are twice as likely to drop out of school. 1 in every 100 African American women are in prison. That means how many girls are in this school? Probably, let's say, half of the 1,200, so 600. That means 6 people in this school out of the ladies will be in prison, if not more, but that's just the average. 35% of African American children grades 7 through 12 have been suspended or expelled at some point in their school career. These statistics are sad, guys, and I was grieved in my heart as I was researching these. Why? Because it's not about color. It's not about that. See, I may be white, but that doesn't mean anything, but yet today's society wants to try to separate us because of our skin color. We are the same. We're just a little bit different based on our outer appearance. How many eyes do you have?
Two.
How many do I have?
Two.
How many hands do you have?
Two.
How many hands do I have?
Two.
Right? We're still human beings. And color has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. I see these statistics and like I said, it grieves my heart. Why? Because there's so much potential in this room. Every one of your lives count. But see, the system is set up for you to fail. It already says, why even try? Why even try? They're just going to drop out. They're not going to really make good decisions. They're just going to go to prison. They're just going to get pregnant. They're just going to do drugs. How does that make y'all feel, honestly? That these are real statistics right now as we speak that are against you.
Sometimes it could be because of your home.
And a lot of times that's where it is. If you don't have the right leadership and love and support in your home, a lot of times you go out and do what you do, but guess what? What's your name?
Eric Jackson.
Eric, guess what? That doesn't have to define you, though. Meaning, just because that's the situation doesn't mean that's what it has to be, right? You can raise up from that and change that, right? Because guess what? I changed what was going on in my life. And now I've got 3 beautiful kids and 1 on the way. And it's my job to change things for them. It's my job to make sure that they don't make the same decisions that I made. And I want to say today that regardless of what your limitations are, regardless of what you experience, regardless of who or who isn't in your life, you can break out of the mold and you can rise up and do whatever you want to do. No limitations. I want you to take this dream card that was passed out to you, and you know what? I want you to know that literally you can be whatever you want to be. And life will try to throw as many things at you as it possibly can to keep you and distract you from accomplishing goals and dreams to where you just give up and you say, so be it. Why? Because when you're in the grave, there's no coming back. When you're locked up in prison, there's no coming back. You're done. Write down your name and your dream, and then on the back, here's what I want you to do. And don't fill this out if you're not serious. I don't want nothing dumb on here. I'm here and I'm being real. And I expect if you guys are serious to be real as well. And then right on the back, one thing that you would like to see change in your home, in your neighborhood, in this city, this school, or just in life, period, that will help you make better decisions or make things better. You can write so-and-so is no longer here because Mrs. Bright just told me, like, not even 2 months ago, one of the kids in the school got murdered. Somebody got murdered recently. How do we know that's not you next? But guess what? It's a decision that you need to make to stay out of that predicament. This certificate that's getting handed out to you guys is a challenge. It's called the Champions Challenge. Like I said, our vision and our goal is to raise up a generation of champions. I don't want you to sign it yet. I just want you to take a look at it. I'm going to put this challenge on the table. And as we put this challenge on the table, I really want you to think about tomorrow. Okay? I know some of you guys are disappointed based on the grade you got this marking period. What are you going to do different next marking period to get a better grade? Matter of fact, I'll say this, Mrs. Bright, and I know it may not be much. If you guys can get that average up 10%, at least 10%, don't shoot for 10%, go to 68 or higher, I will come in sometime next market period and I will buy all you guys lunch. Whatever, if you guys all agree on Taco Bell or Pizza Hut or KFC, whatever you guys want, we'll bring lunch in for you to celebrate. And that may not be much, but guess what? It's a challenge. Because guess what? If you can do that, there are so many rewards of doing good in life. There's so many rewards on doing things the right way. And young people today need to be challenged to do what's right. I'm going to read this certificate to you guys real quick, and then I'm going to ask you guys to do something. But the Champions Challenge says that I am a champion. I am not a statistic. I will use wisdom in my decision making. I am a champion. I will not be influenced to make bad decisions. I am a champion. I am a leader, and I will hold my fellow champions accountable. What does that mean? When you see your buddy down the hallway or down the street doing something dumb, that you check him on it. Why? Because he made a decision to do things differently. If you see your girl trying to kick it with so-and-so down the street and she's making some bad decisions, call her out on it. Why? Because that may be a preventable disease or baby that's born that doesn't have to suffer. I am a champion and will choose to be different. I make a declaration today that I will no longer be limited by my circumstances. I choose to be a champion for my generation and generations to come. If you're up for the challenge and you want to be a champion, and you want to literally do something with your life, and you don't want to be any of the statistics that I just read, I want you to stand up. I want you to stand up. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to pull out a pen or a pencil, and I want you to sign the certificate and put today's date on it. And what you're doing is you're accepting the challenge to be different. You're accepting the challenge to change. You're accepting the challenge not to be a statistic, but to be different. And I just want you guys to know anything that's ever been spoken over to you negative, all these statistics, anything that's been set up for you guys to fail, literally, I break that curse. I break every statistic. I break every word and cancel every word or assignment that's ever been assigned to you guys to set you up to fail. And I just want to release success and achievement and excellence over you and speak life over you. Why? Because you guys can do all things. Once you guys have signed the certificate, I want you to put it in your hand and stand back up. Because by verbally declaring something, it means something. Okay? We're going to read this out loud together, and we're going to declare this today. And you're literally making a decision to do something great with your life. And I'm going to hold you accountable because I will be coming back, I promise. So on the count of 3, let's read this out loud. 1, 2, 3. I am a champion. I am not a statistic. I am a champion. I will use wisdom in my decision making. I am a champion. I will not be influenced to make bad decisions. I am a champion. I am a leader and will hold my fellow champions accountable. I am a champion and will choose to be different. I make a declaration today that I will no longer be limited by my circumstances. I choose to be a champion for my generation and generations to come. Give yourself a hand.
We are a revolution.